Hey everyone, welcome back to DeFi Education Week here at LendeXe. Today we're going to go over the topic of borrowing. So that would be all the steps you need to do to be borrowing an asset in the LendeXe markets. And also a short dive into why you would want to borrow tokens. Yesterday, we kept it very simple. We didn't go into any detail. We just supplied our tokens and we let them sit there. But there obviously needs to be a reason why a user would want to supply their assets into any D app, not just LendeXe D app. So the whole idea of lending and borrowing revolves around APYs and interest rates. Our interest rates are dynamic, so that means, in a nutshell, the more tokens are borrowed, the more the APY will raise on both sides. So you will earn more on your supply if there is more being borrowed. You can see the numbers in the APY row, or column rather, on this table. So for example, if I would supply LendeXe now, I would earn 40% annually on my LendeXe tokens compared to just the 1% of my USDT token. And for example, just under 2% for Ethereum. So why are these numbers fluctuating? As I said before, the rates are dynamic. We will see on the borrow market tab why this might be the case. Or to go into more detail, we would have to go into market and then onto LendeXe. And now we can see, for example, the total supply is $36 million in dollars, but the total borrow is $26 million. So percentage-wise, a lot of the LendeXe token is being borrowed. If you want to know exactly how much, you go into the market and check out the utilization rate. So that's at 70%. And you can check on this table how the rates should be at each and every percent. All right. So to not get into too much detail on the interest rates part, that would be how to determine what would be the most quote-unquote lucrative investment path. Let's get into more detail on how to actually do the borrow. So if you have already supplied a token, which you should at this point if you were following the tutorial, you can now click on this collateral toggle. As you can see in the text, the toggle is setting your token as a collateral, but your token can also be toggled as collateral if it's a borrowed token. That's how the protocol basically tracks tokens that have a certain liability to the protocol, and hence you wouldn't be able to take them out of the protocol fully without closing all your positions and dealing with all your liabilities. So I will now click on this collateral toggle. You see a transaction coming up. I will confirm it. And now this is basically me choosing that I want my USDT to count towards my borrow limit and collateral factor. So as you saw now, the protocol, or rather the transaction was confirmed, and the protocol is now showing me that I have $1,000 supply balance and I have a borrow limit of $750. If you go to the markets tab of USDT, you will see the collateral factor, and from the collateral factor, you will know how and what you can expect in terms of dollar value out of your supply and collateral. All right, so one more step. Now you go to the borrow market, and you're probably wondering why there's two numbers here. At the moment in the LendeXe protocol, there is a certain incentive for borrowing tokens, which is called the liquidity mining. Liquidity mining, as its name implies, is basically just getting back tokens as a reward for borrowing assets in the protocol. So these numbers are high because these pools/markets are not being used to its full potential, I would call it. So for example, if I would go and borrow ETH at the moment, I would obviously be paying 5% APR on my borrow. So I would have to pay 5% back each year when I close my position, or rather, my position would be worth 5% less when I pay this back, but I would get up to 5,000% in LendeXe as a reward for borrowing the token. So since that's the highest amount that you can see, I want to borrow ETH, but I don't really want to think too much about how much I want to use and how much I increase my limit with this. So I can just click on Save Max. There's an explanation in it which says the Save Max will automatically apply the maximum amount available for this position. This takes into consideration the borrow limit of the user and the available assets in the protocol, and only calculates up to 60% of your borrow limit. So basically the Save Max makes sure that no matter what you do, you will, in 99% of the cases, be safe with this amount borrowed. If you would like to borrow more, of course you can do that. So I could put this on 0.3, but I just want to stay safe. I want to earn some income on the on my borrowed ETH. So I will put it on to 0.28. Actually, I can do 29. The 0.60% will not make a big difference. So now I click on borrow again. I confirm this, and after this transaction is approved, I will have 29, or rather 0.29 ETH that I can take out of the protocol right now and do whatever I would like with it. I could even resupply it into the protocol. There's no limitations on that side, but as you can see, my borrow limit went up to 60%. You can see in my wallet balance that this ETH has now arrived, and I have a $450 borrow balance. When I go back to the supply markets, you can see my ETH is automatically set as collateral because, as we said before, tokens that are borrowed will also show up as a collateral. And now you're done. You have successfully borrowed a token, and you're right now, as you can see in the net APY, earning liquidity mining as a reward for borrowing. Thank you for tuning in for today, and I will catch you tomorrow for the next tutorial.